Hey everyone, George here with Wine Industry Network. Welcome to another episode of the Win Insider Series. I'm really excited about today's show. We've got Alexandra O'Gorman. She's the Vice President of Community Relations for Foley Family Wines. She's a friend, someone I've known for a long time, and someone I think is incredibly impressive. And we're going to talk about Alexandra's journey, her wine industry journey, which is incredible and again, impressive. We're going to learn a little bit more about her thoughts on why giving back is so important and obviously tap into her mind about some of the challenges that we're facing as an industry. So sit back. I think you're going to really enjoy today's show. Alexandra O'Gorman.
Hey, George, Christie.
Thanks for being here with me. You know, it's like I get to do a lot of these, and a lot of times they're people that I don't know, which is very cool. But I love the interviews that I get to do with people who I do know, because it gives me a chance to be a little bit nosy and ask some questions I wouldn't normally ask. And so, like, you're perfect for this. Like, I've been so excited about having the opportunity to chat with you a little bit. So I never, so we're just going to start at the beginning, because I always like to talk about people's journey. I don't know where you even grew up. Like, did you grow up around wine? Like, tell me about that.
Yeah, I grew up in Carmel, California, which was a gorgeous childhood. A little bit of perspective along the way made me realize just how beautiful it is. It's like wine country. A kid who grows up here, like your daughters, our son and daughter,
Yeah.
growing up here, you don't really realize how special it is till you get a chance to see something else, right? But yeah, so I grew up there, and no, we didn't grow up with wine at all. It wasn't until later on in life that I realized all that wine and the wine culture can bring. And it's been a lucky draw that we ended up here. And I have to thank my husband for that.
So, what like did was Chris, your husband, Chris O'Gorman's wine
Mhm.
industry professional? Was that is that how you started to get into wine in the first place?
Yeah, well, actually, it is. So my husband grew up at Healdsburg High. He went to Healdsburg High with your wife, and he he ended up going on to Berkeley, whatever. And then one night he tapped me on the shoulder and asked me to dance, and that was the beginning of the rest of my life. And through my relationship with him and the time that we spent down in the Bay Area, we had a very long chapter down there where I worked for Xerox doing outside sales and nothing wine related. My husband started working for a wine importer and started, selling wine and doing all these wine education courses, which he's incredibly passionate about. And I would sit in and understand a little bit more about, sipping and spitting and, what different flavor profiles were. And that was fascinating. And then one weekend we came up to wine country to visit his mom and fell in love with this beautiful old Victorian farmhouse, and my ovaries started pulsing, and I was like, we gotta move here. So we moved to northern Sonoma County to Cloverdale, and within a month we were pregnant with our son, and who was born a year exactly after your daughter Skylar. And I mean, you and I have a lot in common, which is kind of fun. But anyway, along the way, I started working for Korbel. That was my first wine industry job, working for Gary Heck at his daughter winery, Lake Sonoma Winery, which is
I
where you
remember that.
proposed to your wife, Tammy. And we worked there, and that's where I gave birth to both of our kids. I mean, not on property, but my time there, and that was great. I was running private events and weddings, which fit with my background. My background had been in sales and marketing, so it worked out very well. Also realized that my personality is one that works well with weddings. I can keep the bride calm, pay attention to all of the various nitty gritty on the tablescape. And really just function as the optimal hostess in a very emotional setting. So anyway, that
No,
was a good time for me.
yeah, no, I remember that was my first job too, right? Lake Sonoma Winery, and then I'd moved over to work out of the Korbel property, and I'll just never forget like coming to the winery one day and you popping up and saying, "Hello, George," or "Hello, Mr. Christie. I'm Alexandra O'Gorman. It's so nice to meet you." And big firm handshake, and I remember thinking like, "She's gonna be awesome.
Oh,
She's gonna be so good. We got to keep her
oh,
around for a
thanks.
while."
Thanks.
Did you know right away that you like, oh, I'm like the wine industry. This thing's, I like this. This is where I want to stay. Or what were your
I knew
thoughts?
that I liked the job. I knew that I liked sales and marketing. I just didn't. At that time that job wasn't very like wine focused per
Yeah,
se,
yeah,
right? Um, so I liked the people that I worked with. I really like, Gary and all of that. But once they sold that property to the Spragia family, I realized maybe I'm going to go back into sales. So I left the wine industry and went back to an outside sales job working for a pharmaceutical company, selling, antidepressants and, as life does. And then realized that that wasn't kind of what I wanted to do either. So again, it's like growing up in Carmel. You don't realize how good you have it till you have a little bit of perspective. So in 2007, when the economy is going in the tank, I sent out one of those email prayers like, hey, does anybody know of a job? Here's my essential qualifications and whatever. The next day I had a breakfast interview with Chris Hanna, and the next day I started working for her. So Christine Hanna from Hanna Winery and Vineyards, she gave a flyer on me. I'm super grateful that she did. She let me run both of her properties in Alexander Valley and in Russian River Valley, run a team, run all of their hospitality and DTC, launch wine clubs. She gave me a huge, huge chance that I probably didn't deserve. And she showed me how to be a mom, how to be an upstanding citizen and give back to your community, how to show up, with integrity and intelligence, how to lead business decisions based on, real data, how to be a really good family member. She's, one of the oldest in her family, and she had her mom and her dad and her sisters and her brother, like all very involved in the industry. And she had to navigate all of that. And she did it all with grace. And I was grateful, and I still am incredibly grateful for the place that Chris Hanna had in my life as a mentor. And it's shown me how important it is to give back, and show other people what can be done.
Yeah, she definitely like led by example. I mean, at the same time that you're talking about, she was, I think, president of Sonoma County Vintners and very active in Alexander Valley Association and Russian River. I mean, she was just go, 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 tireless. So,
Totally.
yeah, lucky you. So then what? 'Cause you have a great,
Everyone have their popcorn.
I
They're
know.
ready to go.
Yeah,
All
yeah,
right.
yeah.
Yeah. So
Then what
then,
happened?
I know. Then I got tapped on the shoulder and asked to open up the Coppola property in Geyserville with the swimming pool and the restaurants and the whole
Yeah,
thing. And I really couldn't pass up the opportunity. It was like, double the salary and double
yeah.
the amount of responsibility, and it turned out to be totally crazy. I mean, I loved it. I gave it all I could, but in the end, it kind of burnt me out, and I needed to step back. So I was very, very lucky that I got a job working for David Ramey and the Ramey winery family. I worked there for 7 years as a communications director and got a chance to really learn about wine, not just about the business, not just about the hospitality and the events and like the sales and marketing of it, but really about the passion for wine, how it's grown, how important each soil type is, how the way that each vineyard is shaped towards the sun, like all of it. It was the most amazing 7 year university I could ever go through. And because of David, bless his heart, I'm in love with Chardonnay, and I think that it's the greatest grape out there. There's so many ways that you can grow it and shape it into these beautiful flavors. And yeah, that time with him was awesome. So I'm
What's
grateful for that
interesting, I
time
think
too.
about I'm going to go back to Coppola for 1 second. That was like because now it's all about the experiences, right?
Yeah,
So like, what's the experience here? Like that was taken, hey, we're going to have a little bit of a different experience to like the sun, right? I mean, it was like the pool, the spa,
totally.
I mean, it was wild up there. So I knew that had to be pretty challenging, just the hours you were putting in. But then fast forward to Ramey, because it's a different role. I mean, because it was all hospitality, but now you're in communications. I know
Right.
everything kind of built on each other, but was it day to day? Was it very different than what you had been doing earlier in your career?
Absolutely. So we had a very limited hospitality group. There was a woman named Patrice who would see those people when they called. It was very much by appointment only
Yeah.
versus at Coppola, the gates were always open, right?
Right.
And come on in, the weather's fine. And that's also the ethos of Coppola, right? George, he wanted people to feel very welcome, like an Italian family, right? But Ramey Wine Cellars, it was very much about the education, and so I had to craft another part of myself. I'd already had a little bit of marketing skills from my time in dot coms, but now I got to really harness my writing skills and become more of a PR agent and really how are we representing our brand. I feel very fortunate that I was part of the team that got David on the cover of Wine Spectator, and now he's known as the professor of the wine industry, and so that was a great little path that I got to be a part of. But during that time, I also realized that I wanted to kind of grow myself. So I applied to the Wine Business Institute, which was a relatively new endeavor for Sonoma State. And I was part of cohort 5 and was able to do that during my time at Ramey. David and Carla gave me time off so that I could attend classes. And I just had to dig deep and, which I'd gotten some of those skills along the way at Coppola, et cetera, to know that I could. And really graduated well and got some great connections. The Alumni Association that's a part of the Wine Business Institute, amazing. The professors and the real life learnings that you get from them, each of those professors is in the wine industry in one way, shape, or another, whether it's in HR or in 3-tier sales or whatever it is. So getting real life experience from them and then applying it to the books that you're studying like mad about, it was awesome. I'm grateful for that experience, and then that launched me into the next thing.
Well, just quick, let's spend just another second on that Sonoma State Wine Business Institute, that whole program down there, because I think that for anyone who's looking to further their career, because that's when I go, I knew you were ambitious. I go, she's really ambitious. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know there was a lot of sacrifices that you needed to make to go through that program. But certainly for anybody who's looking to further their career in wine, that program is fantastic. And you mentioned the alumni, the alumni group that's getting bigger and bigger every year, how supportive they are. We work closely with the Wine Business Institute a lot, and I just can't say enough good things about them.
Yeah, I can't either. I'm right there with you. And the Foley family actually in their forward thinkingness, they actually put together a scholarship, the Patrick Foley Inclusive Excellence Scholarship, and it's for diversity for any first generation college student whose parents essentially didn't go to college, whether if they're interested in becoming part of the wine industry, even if they're studying something else. Let's say a student is studying biology, but they're interested in the wine industry, they can apply for this scholarship. We've given up to full rides to 4 students. And then this last summer, we started a mentorship program here at Foley Family Wines and Spirits, where 3 interns were here all summer long. And throughout the 12 weeks, they went from each department that we have within the company and learned everything from, purchasing capsules to, soil samples and the new drone footage that we get to help with, water usage and sustainability practices, on and on and on. And they graduated in the middle of August and gave capstone presentations. And it was a really powerful experience for the whole family, including those of us who work within the family, to see that the giving back and how important it is, and also how awesome our industry is. I
Yeah.
love the wine industry. We really are an inclusive group.
No, I agree with it. It's unique in that way. It's like we talk about the old cliches that all ships rise with the tide. And of course, a lot of times we're talking about that from a winery perspective, but I think at an individual perspective, it's the same thing. People are looking to help each other and support each other. It's just, I don't know, because I think we've chatted about this in the past, where I think anybody who's had any success in our industry can look back on some of the people that they met along their way on their journey, right?
Yeah.
And you're, I think, a great example of that, because let's keep going with your story. So from Ramey, you're at Ramey, you go get your MBA, and then where do you go from there?
And then I got a phone call from Chris Hanna's husband, who recommended that I go and explore an interview with the Huneeus family to launch the new Flowers experience out on West Side Road, which is kind of the Rodeo Drive here in Healdsburg. And I interviewed and I met some really dynamic people, and I thought, well, this would be a great challenge for me. I'm going to do it. I'm going to get back into hospitality. I'm going to, keep all of the skills that I've garnered along the way, and take that experience that I had from Coppola of starting something new and bring it here, but with, a little bit more of an elegance and refinement that I got from my time at Ramey. So was able to build a team and really launch a brand, essentially a brand that had been beloved by so many people. Anytime they talk about flowers, they touch their heart. Oh, I love flowers. But really kind of bring it to life. And what words do we use? Do we use hey, or do we use welcome? Like small stuff like that. And how do we talk about the wine? And how do we pour it and polish the glasses? Like all these little things. And it was an amazing experience. And then the fires happened, and then COVID happened, and they ended up letting go of all front of house people. And then I got a lovely phone call from our friends at Korbel, and Gary Heck asked me to become his general manager at Korbel. And what a lucky, lucky draw to go back into his orbit again. So that was a great experience, and I'm very grateful for him in my life as well.
Yeah, like full circle, right? Back to Korbel, which I also love being a part of Korbel. I just thought it was, especially going to the old winery,
Yep.
just so cool and such a cool property. And I don't
Such
know,
cool, right? My office was right underneath the Brandy Tower.
oh,
So
that's so cool.
so
Yeah,
cool. I mean,
I
like
know.
just sitting in a piece of history, Sonoma County history. Anybody who hasn't been there, please go and visit Korbel. The tour there is free and it's amazing. You got to go check it out.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you on that. So now next is Foley. Now do we get to
Foley.
Foley?
Yes. So then I know it feels like telling this story, it feels like I jump around a lot, but each of these tenures was I learned a tremendous amount, and I kept great relationships along the way, which is more a testament to those who I worked with than anything. So anyway, I got an opportunity to join Foley Family Wines and Spirits. The day I joined, we just acquired Foray Chrono. We signed for Chateau Saint Jean. About a year later, we acquired Silverado Vineyards in Napa. About 6 months later, we acquired a distillery in Minden, Nevada, and that was just the beginning. When I first started, we had two spirits SKUs. Now we're at 120. I mean, it is just growing, 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 and it all comes from these really intelligent but passion driven and also data supported initiatives that Bill Foley has. He sees the future in a way, and all of us we kind of support it. We try and realize if we should poke holes at it, and ask some tougher questions, and eventually we all pretty much come to the same conclusion. Golly,
Yeah.
Bill, that's a great idea. So here we are. Yeah, it's been great. I've been here for 4 years, and now I work directly for his daughter, Courtney Foley, who, as we say here, she's the heart of the Foley Family Wines and Spirits. She's a lawyer by practice and by trade and education, but she really is. She's not only leading the business, but she's also leading our community initiatives. And she was able to hand this off to me about a year ago to strategically figure out how we're going to partner in any areas where we have people, projects, or property, so that we're giving back to the communities that we're a part of, but also we're trying to figure out a way that we can continue to grow in a sustainable and bottom line driven way.
So you've got a job that I've not seen in our industry. You're the vice president of community relations. What is that? What do you like? Talk about that job.
I know it's
It
the
sounds right.
only job I've been able to find I've looked on LinkedIn a number of times. If anybody has this job someplace else, please reach out. I'd love to connect.
Mhm.
There's a couple people that work for the Wonder Company down Justin, who I'm meeting with next month, who have similar jobs. Basically, it's social impact, a little bit of governance, a lot of sustainability, trying to figure out, again, how we strategically partner and strategically choose to give our time, our money, our resources, and really try and make not only the world a better place, but the bottom line a better place.
So, but like nuts and bolts of it. I mean, are you like I know you're on the board of directors for the Sonoma County Vintners.
Yes.
You're the chair, right, of the Sonoma County Vintners Foundation.
Yeah.
But what is that? So, but are you involved with different associations for everywhere you have a winery? Like talk about.
Yeah, I'm on 13 different boards right now, George, across 4 different states.
Oh my God.
It's been amazing though, because through perspective, again, back to growing up in Carmel, right? As soon as you step away from it, you see what you have a little bit more. Through perspective and learning what we're doing in Santa Barbara, and learning what we're doing up in Willamette, learning about what we're doing up in Minden, Nevada, understanding all of these different ways to do business and how to show up for your community. I've learned so much over this last year, and I feel like I'm actually better able to represent the family and the company
Yeah.
because of those experiences and those connections that I have.
Yeah, I mean, imagine the relationships that you're able to build just by, I mean, for me, I remember, when I think back about some of the reasons why I think I had some success was because I was so involved in our local associations, and you're involved
Totally.
in our local associations, but then up and down the West Coast, which I just think is so cool. And
Right.
do you find that we all sort of are tackling the same sort of issues? Are the solutions drastically different? Like what's it like from, being up in a board meeting up at Willamette versus something you might experience down here in Sonoma County?
Well, there's two parts to that question. One, we're all definitely facing the same thing. And
Yeah.
most of it has to do with how we're talking about it, right? When you see a bunch of news articles like the wine industry is dying, you're like, oh my gosh, right? And then, our kids are reading that and they're like, oh, well, I guess I'm going to go to an RTD or I'm going to, go do an edible or whatever, right? They're moving away from this industry that you and I have found so much connection with. Which brings me to the second part of the question, like what are we doing that's similar? And it's all about how many people you get involved, right? Well, let's talk about specifically here in Sonoma County. Sonoma County, the Vintners organization I just joined last November. The Vintners organization had been run with a number of different committees originally, or not originally, but about 15 years ago. And then the organization kind of grew and hired a bunch of people to take over those committees. So as a result, the members weren't as involved. So the organization kind of dwindled with its, interactions with the members. Now, because we've been talking about the Winery Improvement District, for better or for worse, I don't care where you stand on it, it's actually brought all of us back to the table. So we're now all talking about the industry, whatever issues we're facing, whether it's how we're talking about it or how people are talking about it or what our best way forward is. But we're coming back together and you can feel it when you walk around, you start having these conversations like something's happening in Sonoma County where, there's this huge passion for it. And I'm excited to see what happens in the tent this Saturday when we all get together to celebrate Sonoma County wine and really, bring some money to give back to the kids in the county too. We can talk about that in a second. But I think that what I learned being a part of the Willamette Valley Winery Association and in Santa Barbara is their vendor organizations are smaller because their members are more actively engaged. We have a lot of great, intelligent people here on the Vintners organization, but we need to get more involvement from the members to really, ignite us. And the same thing happens over at Napa. They're a larger organization, but they also have members like really actively involved, and it changes the way people show up to every event.
No, I agree with that. I mean, I think it's sort of lit a fire under everyone, and that challenging times will do that, right? So you kind
Right,
of go, okay, can we at least agree we got to do something?
right.
Yes. Okay. Everyone will say it. Then you start to get into what does that something look like, and what does that something, what might something like that cost? But at least the conversation's happening, and I agree with that. Begins with that. Why do you think it is that between, there are brands, that are exceptions to the rule that are doing well, despite how challenging times are. They're getting more than their fair share. What do you think that they're doing differently than everyone else?
It's interesting. I was listening to another one of these interviews that you did, and the gentleman from Bronco, and he was talking about why does every brand launch and need like 12 SKUs, right? Because that's historically how it's been done. But the reality is you just need like the right one, the right Chardonnay or the right whatever it is. The reason why I think Ramey Wine Cellars isn't that Freudian. The reason why I think that I'm just talking about Chardonnay made me think of it.
Yeah.
But just going back to Foley Family Wines and Spirits, one of the reasons why we're doing so well in the three-tier market is because we bought these larger companies. For example, Silverado Vineyards, when we acquired them, they had 36 SKUs they were making every year. We've now pared that down to 8, right? and they're incredible. They're delicious. The case structure, like we're much more smaller and defined, and it's easier for our sales reps to go out and say, "Hey, here's that one wine. It's made by a female winemaker. Everything's estate grown. It's all, hand harvested by our team, right? We love this wine, and we're putting everything back into, from the vineyard to the bottle, all for you to sell." And I think that we're having a different message as a result of that, bringing that authenticity, showing that true passion that comes all the way from Bill Foley. I mean, he loves wine, right? He understands the farming practice behind it and how it comes all the way through. And yes, it is a business, right? But if you make smart decisions along the way, and you don't need 400 SKUs across the portfolio. You just need, the right amount of 150.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's, in other words, focus, right?
In other
So
words, focus. Yeah.
yeah, it's,
Yeah.
what a concept. But
Yeah.
sometimes we struggle with that in our industry. And I think it's just, especially from the winemaking perspective, it's like these guys are creative, right? So they
Mhm.
haven't met a block that they wouldn't want to make a specific wine from, right? So
Totally.
but it makes it difficult on the selling side. I want to, as we kind of head towards the end here, I want to talk a bit about you giving back, because I think a lot of the reason that you've had success, we touched on it a little bit. You talked a little bit about the mentoring program that you had at Foley, but you're involved in like another mentoring program as well, right? Tell me about that.
I am. I'm involved in the Batonage Mentorship Program,
Mhm.
which is a friend of mine invited me to join. You have to go through a big interview process, and I was matched up with a woman named Amanda Garland, who's been as much teaching me about myself as I have been, hopefully helping to guide her on her career. It's a 4-month program, and there's lots of different lessons along the way, trainings that they have. In fact, we have another one tomorrow, that happen through the whole cohort that's involved. But really just having an opportunity to share what we've learned along the way, George, and helping show others that it's possible just by authentically showing up. I mean, I think that one of the reasons why you've been so successful is you've never not been you, right?
Yeah.
And I think that that's why there are some brands that are really thriving, right? It's because they've held on to their ethos, whether they've been acquired or not. If they really hold on to who they are at their core, the customers can feel that, the friends can feel that, right? You really kind of show up that way. I think I'm at that point in my life, and I have been probably my whole life, where I've realized that I am more satisfied in life when I'm connected to people and I'm able to give back.
Yeah. Well, I think that makes you perfect for the role that you're in, because I mean,
Mhm.
as you get involved in these different communities, right, which is really what your job is, um, that just lights a fire. That just gets you excited, right? That's something that you never get quite bored of that, because there's always a different challenge, another
Yep.
personality, and there's someone else to get to know. Which is probably one of the reasons that you are going to receive the 2025 Wine Business Leadership Award. That's pretty
Woo!
exciting.
It is really exciting. I can't believe it.
That is
I
so
mean,
cool.
it must have been anyway. I don't know why they selected me, but I am grateful nonetheless. I really am. I'm honored, and it really comes from those people that I was just telling you about, Gary Heck, Chris Hanna, David Ramey, every member of that class, as well as the professors at the Wine Business Institute, Courtney Foley, the team here at Foley Family Wines and Spirits, my sweetheart Chris, our kids, my dear friends, like all of you keep me humble and you support me with love. So I'm
Uh,
I'm
you,
grateful for
you
all of it.
you know what? You always show up. You're there for everything. I know you're there for your family. You're there for the people that you work for. You and Chris have a huge set of friends that aren't, and yeah, there's a lot of industry folks in there, but there's a lot of people that just other people that are not industry folks. So you're just always a lot of fun to be around, and I know that that's how people feel, and I'm sure that's why you're having so much success with the new position. I feel like you are just a great example for anyone who's looking to have a career in the industry. We talked about the different places that you worked in, and yeah, for those of you that they were trying to add it all up, but we've known each other for a long time, so it wasn't like in and out. You spent some time at these different properties,
Yeah.
but what I love about it is I always find you like a bit fearless. Like it's scary to leave somewhere and go somewhere new, and I think that is a challenge for a lot of people who sometimes stay in a position that they don't love because it's the devil, And I just think that you serve as just a great example of someone that treats yourself and what you bring to the conversation. You are your own business, right? And you bring your experiences and your skills to that job, and you're not afraid to take them and move somewhere else if it means that you're going to be able to grow professionally and personally. So I just think that you serve as a great example, and I imagine it's been scary at times, but what advice do you have for people that are feeling a little bit stuck?
It's a great big world out there. If you feel stuck, there's a chance that it could be you. I would take a little moment to meditate, grab a glass of delicious Chardonnay, sit, watch a sunset, and really journal out like who you are in that moment and what you want to be, where you see yourself. There's a lot of power in putting your thoughts on paper, a lot of power. And then if you're going to take the plunge, if you're going to close your eyes and take the leap off the precipice, just make sure you have somebody supportive standing behind you, whether it's a sister, a brother, a best friend, a husband, whatever it is.
You know what's so funny about that? It's on my desk right now, because I'm 100% on board with you on that. I listen to Mel Robbins sometimes, she does her little podcast, and I have this thing on my desk when I can see it, design your remarkable life. I'm always still thinking about stuff like that. I'm writing things down. It's a whole thing, right? But
yeah, and look at your remarkable life that you've already built, George. That's so cool.
I mean, but you just got to keep going, right? And you can't be satisfied. Well, listen, thank you for spending some time with me. People don't know this, but I actually forgot to hit record at the beginning of this interview, so I made Alexandra have to do the first half of this interview over again. Hopefully you enjoyed take two. Sorry about that. Thank you for being with me. Congratulations on the award. I love you. George. You're just fantastic.
Oh, thank you so much. This really means a lot to me. I loved hanging out with you for an hour. That was awesome.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. All right. Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone, for being with us today. Hope you enjoyed the show. Obviously, a big thank you to Alexandra. She's a fantastic guest, and it was fun to learn a few more things about her that I did not know. Quick plug for the North Coast Wine Industry Expo, the WIN Expo. It's going to be December 4th. Alexandra's going to be speaking on a panel, and they're going to be sharing some thoughts on how we can better connect with some of the younger consumers out there. Thanks again for being with us. Make sure to like our YouTube channel, and we'll see you next time.